guys, welcome back to my channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now it's been a couple of weeks since we did a trade update on the public account, so I wanted to go in and recap my trades that I made this week. I actually made two, one buy and one sell, related to Upwork, who just reported earnings this week, and Tattooed Chef, which has also had some pretty encouraging announcements. Before we get into the video, please take a second to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And let me know in the comment section below if you hold either of these companies or you're looking at them in the near future here. Now without further ado, let's jump into this week's trade update. Okay guys, so it's Friday, and to end out the week here, I wanted to give you a quick update on the public account. I made two trades this week. I didn't make anything last week. I really try and avoid trading more than I need to. It's kind of the old adage, stocks are like a bar of soap. The more you touch them, the less you have. So I really try and avoid over trading if at all possible. But this week I felt like there was a couple trades that I needed to make. One in regards to Upwork and one in regards to Tattooed Chef. So we're going to talk about the reasons as to why for both companies. But before we get into it, I did want to give you a balance update here. So we're currently sitting at 22,765 in Canadian dollars. So we're up about 10% from last update, which we were close to about 20K at that point. So we're doing pretty good over the last couple of weeks. And that's despite a little bit of market softness here in the last couple of days. Now, if we look at the trade specifically, you can see here I sold my remaining 57 shares of Upwork at an average rate of $59.88, and that netted me about $3,400 US. Now, in addition to this, I had 50 shares that I had previously closed. If you guys had seen my Upwork video a couple of weeks ago, I talked about my bullish thesis on this company. I'm going to talk about my trade strategy moving forward, but what I did here was actually exit the position fully, so I've now sold all 107 shares of this company. Now, if you take a look at my actual profit loss on the position overall, you can see here these were my three original Upwork trades. I purchased these in late fall, so September, October. You can see I purchased a batch of 27, 30, and then 50 for a grand total of 107 shares, right in that low $14 range. So I've done really well on this position. You can see I sold out about half my position at 34, and then I just recently sold the rest here, like I said, close to $60. So overall for this position, I netted myself about $3,600 US. And in this column here, you can see I convert it to Canadian. So in Canadian dollars, I made about $4,700 on Upwork overall. Now, by no means do I intend to be done with this company. I'm going to talk about my re-entry strategy in the coming couple minutes, but I did feel like this company had got a little bit ahead of itself, and I thought it might be some good time to realize some of these gains. And you can see overall, I was up over 300% on the majority of the position, and even on the half that I closed out at the $34 rate, I still was up about 140%. So again, one of the sayings I love in the stock market is you can never go broke taking a profit. Maybe I do leave a little bit of upside on the table, but I'm okay with that because I can sleep at the end of the day knowing that I made some money. So if we now take a look at Upwork chart, you can see here on a daily, not a lot of movement. It's closed at about 54.23. And if we zoom out to a 6 month, you can see it's really been on a tear ever since kind of that October, November time frame. This is around when I entered the company, and you can see it's really run up, reaching a high of that 57.60 kind of range. Now, if we zoom in specifically over the last 5 days, you can see here this is Wednesday, so they actually came out with earnings on Tuesday night, and Wednesday morning this company spiked up. Actually, intraday high I think was closer to $63. So I was watching this very closely at the open. I actually had a sell order in at 65. It didn't get filled, so I put it down to 61.50. That didn't get filled. It was starting to slide. So that's when I entered that sell price of the high 58, 59 kind of range. I'm glad I did get out of it. And to be honest, the reason I did is I feel like tech stocks particularly are undergoing some pressure right now. People are rotating their money into kind of the more business as usual or return to normal type of cyclical stocks. So I had a feeling that this strength on earnings probably wouldn't last. And this was a sell on news type of situation. So if you see here now, we've actually pulled back, like I said, to $54. So I'm actually fairly happy that I did exit this position, and I am looking to re-enter, but I did notice over the last month or so, it really is hitting resistance close to that $60 point, and I don't see that changing in the near term here. Now, in terms of earnings themselves, they reported fourth quarter and full year on Tuesday. Revenue came in extremely strong, and to be honest, the entire earnings report was rock solid. So some of the highlights here, you can see revenue was up 32% year over year to $160 $206 million. Full year revenue was $374 million, and gross margins expanded to 73%. So my sale on Upwork really had nothing to do with the financial results themselves. It really has more to do with the macro environment and the fact that I feel like a lot of these big gains and momentum has already been priced into the company. Now, if we scroll down the page a little bit, you can see here that EBITDA was $14 million compared to $7.4 in the prior year, and they did record actually a net loss of 19 cents per share compared to a net loss of 15 cents per share in the prior year. So their loss did accelerate, and honestly that's not too concerning at this point, but overall numbers were very healthy. Now if you take a look at their market cap, you can see here that overall revenue was about $374 million and EBITDA was 14. So if you consider their market cap is close to 6.7 billion, I definitely feel like that's a fairly rich premium for a company at this stage of development. Considering they have under $400 million in total revenue, you are really paying a premium for this name. Obviously Upwork has benefited from a huge way in terms of work from home, but I do think in the short term here it is destined for a little bit of a pullback. And in terms of re-entering this stock, I would be happy to start entering maybe down in the low 40s. You can see here they've got some resistance around $41. So this is probably where I'd be looking to re-enter and redeploy a lot of that money that I cashed out to really up my share count and get back into this name at a lower average cost. Now if we jump back here to look at the second trade, this one is Tattooed Chef. So this was actually one of my original videos that I put out on the channel. This is a name that I'm extremely bullish on. For those of you who don't know, they operate in the food industry, so very similar to like a Beyond Meat or a Very Good Food Company, something like that. They've got a ton of products in the frozen food aisle and they're really expanding their SKUs exponentially at this point. Now you can see I actually bought shares, so I bought 50 shares of this company, average price of $21.14. So this was a total cost of about $1,100 US. You can see I've also entered that in my tracker here. If you're interested in getting this tracker, let me know and I can fire it over to you or I can share it in Discord. So if we now take a look at Tattooed Chef, you can see it's basically trading exactly what I paid for it, right at about $21. I do own this company in another portfolio. I paid about 24 bucks in that one. So I'm happy to be buying this in the low 20s. And if you look at a 6 month here, you can see it really has run up quite a bit. It was hitting upwards of $28 back in September. Then it was close to 27 in January. So I feel paying 20 bucks for this is a steal. You can see the market cap on this one is still very low compared to something like a Beyond Meat, just north of $1.7 billion. And based on the growth and the ramp up that they're expecting, I think this is a steal of a deal. It's also really nice to kind of diversify out of that tech space and really invest in some consumer products like food that really aren't ever going anywhere. Now in the initial slide, I did say that there was some news related to Tattooed Chef as well, so I quickly wanted to pull that one up. So you can see here they have some information related to public warrants, and the big piece is they actually announced preliminary revenue for full fiscal 2020. Now you can see the results of this whole warrant activity resulted in a big injection of cash to their balance sheet. So with the addition of this warrant cash, they're now sitting close to $200 million, which is phenomenal considering they've got a market cap of about 1.7 billion. So that means about 11 to 12% of their company's market cap is actually sitting in cash. So if you continue to scroll down the page, you can see here revenue for Q4 was just under $40 million and revenue for the entire fiscal was $150 million. So that's awesome to see, especially at this phase because they really are just starting to ramp up production and open up some new sites and distribution hubs. So overall growth, 47% for Q4 and 76% for year over year. So those type of growth rates are phenomenal, and considering the amount of cash and the low market cap this company has, I'm very happy to pay low 20s, really anything under 25 bucks for this company. The other thing that I talked about in my video, and I really wanted to stress here as well, is Tattooed Chef has actually now really stepped up in their own branded products. So for a long time, they were actually making products and then essentially white labeling and allowing other companies to put their name brand on it. Tattooed Chef has now shifted and they're actually branding and selling their own products. So you can see here, revenue is $24 million for fourth quarter, representing a 253% increase for the prior year. And for the entire fiscal, revenue for Tattooed Chef branded products was $85 million. So over half of their entire revenue for the year was actually their own branded products. And this is an increase of 550% compared to fiscal 19. So number one, they're getting into more stores, they're ramping up production, and and there's obviously a huge demand for Tattooed Chef branded products that's really driving this revenue explosion. Now this is amazing because they're currently only offered in a handful of select retailers, and they're only available in the US. So once they hit mainstream grocery stores, that's going to be a huge catalyst, not to mention international expansion. So that being said, if we now jump back to their actual chart, I'm happy to buy this really anywhere under $25. I do plan to expand this position, but like I said in the initial opening, I see some market weakness right now, so I'm thinking I might be able to get another 50 or 100 shares closer to that $18 range, and I'll gradually build this position up to maybe $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 out of my total portfolio. So that's it for today's video, you guys. Nice quick update on the weekly trades. As promised, I'm committed to sharing each and every trade I make in this public account, so you can follow along and really see my train of thought, trade strategies, and thinking in action here. If you haven't already, please take a second to like the video. They do take a while to put together, and it would really help me out in terms of growing this channel. If you haven't subscribed, take a second to do that as well. Let me know in the comment section below if you're currently holding or planning to purchase Tattooed Chef or Upwork in the near future. And as always, have a great rest of your day.